Today, I want to talk to you about Venus retrograde in Leo. So we all know that Mercury can go retrograde. At least it's becoming more popular in sort of mainstream awareness. Why is Mercury retrograde? What does it mean? We hear it much more than we used to decades ago. But what's not as popular is the fact that some of the other planets also go retrograde. And so Venus stationed retrograde yesterday, last night, and let's talk today about what that means. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe for Sunday, July 23rd. And I usually talk to you about the moon and what sign the moon is in. The moon has just gone into Libra, which interestingly enough is ruled by the planet Venus. So Libra is the sign of balance, of peace, of seeking balance and dealing with partnerships, relationships, and how we get along with others, how we balance things out when there are differing perspectives, different groups or different types of people. So, or different people, literally, right? In a relationship, it's about you and me, right? Us together, but that us together is not always hunky-dory. There's not always harmony, but the Libra energy is seeking that harmony. It's wanting us to get along and to cooperate and collaborate and work together. So that Libra energy is there asking us to think about what we need and how to balance things in our relationships. Is there anything that needs attention maybe you just need to give attention to your relationships. By the way, that's not only your primary relationship or spouse, partner, it is also any type of one-to-one relationship. So remember, it's about you and another person. It's at a very basic level, the energy of the sign of Libra is about us. It's about what do we do together? How do we work together? What does it look like? And how do we bring balance and harmony when we're coming from different places? So with the moon in Libra, we have this focus on balance, peace, harmony that is ruled by Venus. Venus is the planet of what makes us feel good and happy, right? So Venus is traditionally, it's the seen as more feminine, more receptive, right? Mars is the quote unquote male, but masculine. But of course, we all have masculine and feminine within us. We all have a Mars and a Venus as parts of ourselves. But Mars is the more outward, movement oriented, assertive, courageous, taking risks, going for what we want part of ourselves. And Venus is the part that needs to receive, that wants things because they feel good and is kind of, receptive and considering what's important, what we value. So things like money, pleasure, feeling good, beauty, aesthetic, where we see beauty and how we find beauty in things. So where your planet Venus is at birth, which is in your natal chart, is going to give you some indication about how you experience beauty, what you find beautiful, what gives you pleasure, what you like, what you want, what makes you feel good, what you see value in. Okay, so what's happening is that collectively for all of us right now, the planet Venus is in Leo and has gone retrograde, right? Goes retrograde near the end of the day on Saturday, July 22nd. So with that, changing of directions of the planet Venus, because that's what retrograde means. It means a planet slows down in its not in its orbit, because it does not change directions in its orbit. It actually slows down in its journey through the zodiac. because we're on the Earth, which is also a moving planet. So that complicates our view of things, right? And so sometimes the planets appear to move backwards from where they were heading. And that's what retrograde means. Okay, without going into a lot of technical detail, but retrograde just means that we're going back over some territory where we've already been. It's true for Mercury. When Mercury goes retrograde, it's going back over some of the degrees of the zodiac, some of the territory where it's already been. So it's about, and if you've been following me, if you follow astrology, you know that Mercury retrograde is a period, a time of review, reconsideration, rethinking, so related to mental things, which is Mercury. So in this case, it's related to aesthetics and values and beauty and where we find pleasure and what makes us happy and what makes us feel good. And so we're doing some review, some reconsideration, some restyling, right? Some thinking about what we find beautiful and what we need to, what we need in our environments, what kind of clothes we wear, how we look. All those things have to do with Venus and what feels good, what looks good. So thinking about this Venus retrograde, not only is it going retrograde, but it is in Leo. And Leo is the sign of expression, of being seen. So in a higher vibration of possibility, the energy of Venus in Leo is just about expressing yourself, wearing clothes, adjusting your appearance, thinking about your appearance, right? Putting a lot of creativity into your appearance, your surroundings, your garden, your environment, whatever it is that you are, drawn to make more beautiful. And so with Venus retrograde, it's a time of thinking how you're doing that, rethinking your hairstyle or your the artwork on your wall, or what plants you have in your garden, or how you want things to look and feel, and what you see as beautiful. Okay, so the Leo energy is about expression. The Venus energy is about beauty. So the expression of beauty, how we experience beauty, what makes us happy, and what feels good, what brings us pleasure, what we value. Okay, so all those things. And the lower vibration of possibility with Venus in Leo is a little bit egotistical. So think about pride, right? Think about Leo the lion, right? And just, that feeling of I am the best, I am the center of attention. And so beware of that showing up in yourself. Maybe you notice it showing up in others. So a sense of pride. Pride can be wonderful, right? Taking pride in who you are, taking pride in your own self-expression. That's fantastic. I have nothing negative to say about that. But think about the type of pride that is coming from the ego. And so someone who believes that they're more important than others, or that they deserve to have their needs met more than others, that other people are diminished, that type of pride, that type of ego pride is also a possibility with this configuration. So pay attention to that. Notice where it might show up in your in people around you, right? In your life. There might be some tendencies for it to show up in you. So noticing that, paying attention, and just shifting any old patterns that you have of wanting attention for the wrong reasons, and thinking about, why do I want attention? Why is it that I want to be seen around something that is not authentic? So really thinking during this Venus retrograde period about what is authentic self-expression for you. So are you, and we all have old patterns. So what do you have? Any old patterns, old habits, old sort of, ways that you coping mechanisms. That's another way we could call it. Coping mechanisms that are based on what makes you feel good because it makes you feel safe, right? So the ways that you might compromise and that's a good Libra theme too, compromise who you really are in order to be seen in what you perceive as positive ways. So in other words, society has a certain vision of beauty, right? a certain like culturally accepted view of what beauty is and should be, right? And then we measure ourselves against that, sadly, right? Because that's not what real beauty is. Beauty is feeling good on the inside. It's feeling safe enough to express yourself. It's living in a world where the world and then the people and the environment around you recognize and validate and celebrate who you are. So it's a dynamic, okay? So it's not only society that does that, we play into those patterns. And so notice any areas where you might have issues around needing to fit in, needing to be seen in ways that make you feel safe, needing to look a certain way because you think that is going to get you validation, or that others are going to like you if you do things, or if you look a certain way or whatever. And ask yourself, is that really who I am? Does that really make me feel good? So this is a time, this Venus retrograde period is a time to really consider what true beauty is, how we feel on the inside, what gives us pleasure, what is a way of expressing ourselves that feels true and authentic. It should feel good. It should make you feel happy. It should not make you feel like you're not measuring up, or you're not as good or as pretty or as whatever, right? Any way that you're comparing yourself to someone else or to society's expectations, that's not authentic. It's just not. So we want to be thinking about and remembering and connecting with who we really are. And so really asking yourself, how do I express myself? What makes me feel happy? Because that's what's really beautiful, right? When you feel happy, when you exude that sense of what is it? Self-confidence, but also trust in the world, and a feeling of safety, a feeling of trusting that you can put yourself out there as who you are. And so it's not always easy, right? It's overcoming some of these old coping mechanisms or patterns that we have of fitting in order to feel safe. In order to, we have parts of ourselves that believe that we need to be that way. So it's not about overnight changing old patterns, but it's a good time to do a little reflection. So some inner searching, right? Asking some of those deeper questions of yourself. And how do you share art in the world is a great question to ask with Venus retrograde in Leo. What is your art? How do you express yourself? Everybody has a way of doing art. So whether it's music, whether it's gardening, whether it is writing, poetry, whether it is paintings, doodling, you don't even have to think of it as art. It's just, how do you play? How do you play? Because that is where you're creative. That's where your imagination can just be playful and have fun. So whatever that is for you, maybe it's working with materials. clay, ceramics, yarn, textiles, whatever it is for you. There's a million different ways of making things beautiful. You can arrange flowers. You can think about, how you're going to paint your walls, like what color you want. Anything that helps you express what makes you happy, what gives you joy, what you value, what feels good and brings pleasure into your life. And so this Venus retrograde period is a really important time to be thinking about that, and to be on the lookout for old patterns, whether they're in you or in someone else around you, right? Like how maybe there are ways that you make yourself small because someone else needs that validation, and you feel safe if you can validate the person that has the power, or whatever it is that's showing up for you. So if someone in your life needs attention, is a little bit overly dramatic, is a little bit needy, and they don't really need the things that they think they need, but you sort of play into the pattern of showing up for them and doing what they want, even though sort of on some level that it's not really, they don't really need it, and you don't really need to be doing it. So notice any ways like that you might compromise yourself, because noticing is the first step. And when we become aware of any patterns we might have, where we compromise ourselves, where we are not expressing our truth, where we're trying to fit in or please others, like some of those people-pleasing patterns, some of the doormat syndrome. So if you have any of those, or we all have, it's just a good time to reflect on your life and how you're expressing yourself, and whether it feels authentic, whether it's making you happy, whether it's bringing you joy, and thinking about some baby steps you can take in your life to express yourself, to play, to do art. Again, you don't have to show it to anybody. But it's because, it's starting with just doing it. Start with the, start with your journal, start with your sketch pad, start with playing with something that's just for you. And then, once you play enough, maybe you feel like you want to learn some new skills that are going to help you even develop that further. So keep going. And if you're already an artist, if that's what you do, this is a great time to consider, are there any new skills or techniques? Is there anything you want to improve upon? Is there anything you want to reflect on how you're doing it, and whether you might want to try something different? Fantastic time to play, to experiment, to try new things, to get in that sandbox like a little kid and just play with stuff and have fun, and do it just because it's fun, and then see where that leads you. Maybe your adult self, will get something of value out of it, but start with the little kid playful feeling. And so that's what this Venus retrograde period is bringing us. It is not about sharing your work outwardly. That will come later. You might already be sharing work outwardly, and that's fine. That's great. Keep doing whatever you normally do, but it's not a good time to introduce your new work, right? Introduce your new line or your new website, or whatever it is you're working on. Give it a little time. If with this Venus retrograde, it needs a little more time for you to sit with it, to think about it, to review, reflect, look at other things that you find beautiful, and really ask yourself, how can I be open to what is coming through me that I don't know yet? So it's really having fun, playing with it, giving it space. Maybe, on any given day, maybe it's not like coming through clearly what the creative direction might be. That's okay. Just let it go, try again the next day. It will evolve, it will unfold, because that's what the energies are supporting right now. They're supporting a different direction. And so it might be that you need to let go of old ways of thinking about your creative process, about your creative choices. And so letting those go, letting yourself sort of unfurl, I guess, in new directions, and have fun, experiment, play, and express yourself. And that will help you get the most out of this Venus retrograde time. And Venus is going to stay retrograde in Leo. Let me see. I don't have at the tip of my mind just exactly how long. But let me see here if I can figure it out for you. So it looks like this retrograde in Venus until around September 4th, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So around September 4th, it will station direct. So that's our time window of Venus retrograde, the whole month of August. And so this time to play, review, reflect, look at patterns, look at how you might be fitting in to the world and its expectations, and what you need to shift to be more on track with who you truly are, expressing your deeper sense of, because what gives you joy, what makes you happy, what brings pleasure and beauty into your life, that is an essential key to who you are and where you need to be. Because what makes you happy is something guiding you. It is something telling you, hey, this is what makes you happy. This is what you should be doing. Honestly, we're going to be the most creative when we're creating from a place of what feels like fun, what gives pleasure, brings pleasure into our lives, and how we can create from that place. So just noticing any of those old patterns about how you're trying to please someone else, or do your creative work in a way that you think others want, but it's maybe not really who you are. And so that path of actualizing your highest potential is in that direction. It's in the direction of what gives you joy, what makes you happy, what is fun for you, what brings beauty into your life, and just makes your heart feel happy and peaceful, so that you want to just sing and dance, and you feel inspired, you feel energized. That's how you know you're on the right path. If you are feeling more and more heavy, burdened, oppressed, feeling boxed in, feeling trapped, those are signs that you're not in alignment with your own place of joy. And if you're experiencing any of those more negative feelings, I recommend that you don't make yourself bad or wrong for feeling them, but let yourself feel them from a place of sort of, looking at yourself from the outside. Like, how would you hold a child who was hurting, and holding yourself in that place, being patient, loving, kind, and caring toward yourself, because those patterns will shift, but not when we're in a place of being hard on ourselves. They will shift when we are being loving toward ourselves. And sometimes you got to reach out for support and ask for help. And how is that support out there? Ask a friend to remind you what they like about you, and then maybe that can help you see what's valuable about you. And I guarantee you that you have value. So whoever you are, there is something beautiful about you and your heart shining in the world. And if it's not feeling that way to you, it's probably because you're trying to shine in the way that is not true to you. So it's about shifting over time and getting in alignment with who you really are, and doing what brings you joy and happiness and pleasure. And if you need any help with that, I have sessions available. My pricing is really reasonable. I work one-on-one with clients using the power of astrology and understanding your own chart, how you're made up. And I can tell you right now, there are no bad charts. You are not doomed. There is always a way forward, a way through, even if things feel really confusing and overwhelming. So we can work with your chart's energy. We can also work with the many, many, many tools that I have for helping to shift negative thinking and create shift in your life to take care of yourself in different ways that are easy to implement. So it's about baby steps. It doesn't change your life overnight, but it does gradually over time make a significant positive difference so that you can have the tools to shift negative energies when they show up. And so that's what I do. I don't know if I'm a typical astrologer in that way. I use astrology as a tool along with lots of other tools for shifting who we are and shifting those old negative coping mechanisms and patterns so we can get more on track with our truth and knowing who we are. So you can learn more about how to work with me at astrologyheals.com. I've got information there about scheduling sessions with me. And I am here every day with astrology for unshakable self-care. So I give you every day the daily update, the Astro vibe of what's going on with the planets, how those energies, how you might be feeling them on any given day, what you might notice, and how you can work with them in the best ways to stay positive, right? To stay on that positive track, even when you're feeling things, because that's part of the whole process too. And we talk about that here. We talk about when you might feel more sensitive, when you might feel more vulnerable, and how to navigate that along with all of the other energies and how the planets kind of give us like this X-ray view into what's going on energetically in the world, the themes and qualities that are up, and how we can work with them. So that's what I do. Thank you so much for watching this video. And if you haven't yet, check out my channel. I've got tons of videos on different topics. I'm here every day. So if you hit the subscribe button, you will get these Astro vibe self-care boosts, quick few-minute video every day, letting you know how to work with the current day's energies. And thank you so much for being here and for your really sweet and kind comments. And I'm so honored to be here and to share with you. Thanks again. I'll see you next time. Marina Orms at astrologyheals.com. Don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for being here. I'll see you. Bye for now.